This week, Ed Walker sent me a report by the Church of England, who have admitted in a 100-page assessment of their history that they have been anti-Semitic and have spoken with hate against the Jewish people. I'm so pleased that that has happened, because for years I've been teaching that. And right at the beginning, when I started to teach about anti-Semitism within the church, I recall very well a Messianic brother who was with us and said to me, "Is that true?" And because people were quite shocked then, but it's become more understood now, and we're understanding that in history, Christianity has spoken badly against Jews, which has caused so much hate that it resulted in the Holocaust. But if we start right in those early parts of Christianity, when Barnabas, the early church writer who was around and died in 138 AD, he said, as a people, the Jews were wretched men who were abandoned by God because of their ancient idolatry. And of course, that's not true. But they continued to teach in that way and made out that Jews were devil's advocates. And that's what Luther said. And as a result of that, we see various synods and various church councils prohibit and restrict Jews from being part of society, and even restrict them from having respect in society. And we see the Synod of Girona in 1078, who required Jews to pay taxes to support the church. The Third Lateran Council, 1179, prohibited certain medical care to be provided by Christians to Jews. The Fourth Lateran Council, 1215, required Jews to wear special clothing to distinguish them from Christians. The Church Council in Oxford in 1222 ordered all Jews to wear the yellow star above the left breast on all their clothing. And in the Council of Basile, 15th century, Jews were forbidden to attend education centres, universities, and from acting as agents in any contracts or civil or criminal law situations. And Christians required them to attend church sermons. And all these things Hitler did during the war. He restricted everything that Jews were entitled to, and caused so much pain and suffering. And in fact, we see in Christian publications, we see that Jews are vilified. In an edition of the Civitas Catholica, we see that words were used to increase hatred against Jews in the 1880s. Jews, it says, were obligated by their religion to hate non-Jews, and as a consequence, Christians despise them. Societies have to protect themselves, says this publication, from the Jews, and governments would be well advised to introduce exceptional laws for a race that is so exceptionally and profoundly perverse. So we see that publications cause so much damage because words are used to incite hatred. In fact, in the 1920s, Father Enrico Rosso said this in the same newspaper. He says the Jews were to blame for the Russian Revolution as they had been for the French Revolution, and as they have been for the recent most revolution, which was the Hungary Revolution, with all its massacres, cruelty and savage horrors. The result has been, he says, the collapse of the Muscovite Empire and the tyranny imposed by the Bolshevik takeover, which remains in Europe. And he blamed the Jews on that. And Hitler went on to blame the Jews for exactly the same thing. And these words are used to increase hatred on a mass scale, which caused the Holocaust. Now, we know today that words are used to incite hatred, to incite people to hate Israel. So if you look at the anti-Israel groups, the pro-Palestinian groups, many of them use words such as occupation or apartheid to incite hatred against Jews. And words also can be used to hurt each other. So when we are in our daily life and we use words to incite hatred, the consequence of that can be dire. It can be really dangerous and can cause people to become isolated, to be hated by others, and that's really sad. So where does it all come from? Where do these words come from? Well, it's interesting. If we read Daniel 7:25 onwards, it says here that he, meaning the false Messiah, the Satan himself, shall speak words against the Most High. Now, that's blasphemy, but it's words that are important here because Satan doesn't do anything against the Most High in that verse. He does later on. He changes the times, the seasons, and the laws on earth, which he's already done through the church again by changing Saturday to Sunday and to change Passover to the pagan Easter and tabernacles to Christmas. He's done that, but the first part of the verse says, he shall speak words against the Most High. And it's words that cause the damage, because words have the power to inflict pain. Words have the power to cause hatred. Words have the power to cause wars. And words have the power to cause genocide, such as the Holocaust. All genocides start with words. They start with the dehumanization of individuals or groups or races. And we have to be careful with our words. When we speak about other sections of society, people who don't agree with us, we have to be really careful. So we don't want to incite hatred against Islam. We don't want to incite hatred against homosexuals. We don't want to incite hatred against those who are opposed to Christianity. We don't want to incite hatred even towards those who commit abortions, which is a very highly big issue in Christianity. We don't want to use words either to incite hatred towards each other, and because that causes hatred on an individual basis. Now, when we do use those words, when we do speak in that way, whose work are we doing? Well, clearly it's the work of Satan. And it doesn't reflect the laws that God gave to us, or God gave to all mankind through the Ten Commandments. He says, love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and then love your neighbor. Love means that you don't speak with hatred towards your neighbor. You don't try and create divisions. You don't try and cause people to hate a people group, or cause people to hate an individual. This is against God's laws, but actually it's running with Satan as he goes headlong into this dispute with God over the soul of mankind. Are we going to work with Satan, or are we going to work with God? Well, working with Satan caused the Holocaust. The Anglican Church and the Catholic Church and Christianity as a whole has had a long history of vilifying Israel, vilifying the Jewish people, which resulted in the Holocaust. And I'm so glad that today they are accepting what they've done. But it all starts with words. Let's learn the lessons that the Anglican Church have learned. That actually, if we speak with hatred we can destroy another's life, which is the whole intent of the one who shall speak words against the Most High, Satan himself. So Shabbat Shalom, Mike Fryer.